I'm Richard.
And I'm Lolly Swain.
And you're listening to The Way It Is. Headlines tonight. Haig shuffles, Redwood walks.
Tony jeered, Nick Brown sneered.
McCain picked, Bush licked.
Millennium Wheel, ooh, big deal.
Archer shut, now he's...
Richard.
Old Thick Lips is back. Yes, Michael Portillo has been hand-shuffled into the role of Shadow Chancellor. With me now is Lady Charlotte Underline from the Bismarck Foundation. Lady Charlotte, in your opinion, is this the greatest recovery ever?
Not at all, Richard. History has been full of greater comebacks. Lazarus, whose many said was dead.
Yes, he was, Lady Charlotte.
True. Winston Churchill, who seemed washed up prior to the war, then returned triumphantly. Pitt the Younger, of course, made a great comeback as Pitt the Elder. And perhaps most famously of all, Bobby Ewing from Dallas.
Could this all be a dream, perhaps?
No, Mr. Richard. This is a soap opera of a different ilk. Portillo has what Haig lacks.
Which is?
Hair, a personality, and a fruity past.
And if the Tories win the next election?
Very droll, Mr. Richard.
Thank you, Lady Charlotte. Shock reports from hospital casualty wards. This week, a 71-year-old woman was kept waiting 41 hours on a trolley before receiving treatment. Joining me is Labour Health spokesman Spencer Frank. Mr. Frank, explain yourself and your government.
Well, it's very hard to see. We're trying to do our best, and...
Fair enough. Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Oh, cheers.
Richard, you're not going to let him walk away like that, are you? Grill him, batter him.
Well, government's a hard job, Lolly. I'm sure they're doing their best.
What's got into you? You're all nice. It's frightening.
Can I go now?
No.
Lolly, I suppose I am in a good mood. You see, a certain furry-faced resident has returned to my house.
I didn't know your mother had been away.
Not mother, she's been at home all the time, re-roofing the shed. No, I'm talking about Kissinger, my cat.
Oh,
he's back.
That is good news. He'd been missing for over 2 weeks, hadn't he? How did you find him?
Mother, she saw him on Animal Hospital. He'd been hit by an intercity express.
Was he badly hurt?
No, luckily it was a Virgin train, so it was going so slowly he escaped with minor cuts and bruises.
So he's safe at home now?
Yes, I'm nursing the old chap back to health, so to speak. I'm cooking him chicken livers and bacon tonight, followed by...
Excuse me, if I'm not needed anymore, I'll be on my way.
Well, actually, Mr. Frank, you might be able to help me. You're a health spokesman. I assume you have a modicum of medical knowledge?
Yes, I do.
Perhaps you could advise me. How do you painlessly remove bitumen from coarse, thick whiskers?
Sorry, I don't know anything about cats. I'm not a vet.
Actually, I'm talking about Mother. In a move likely to spark controversy, Mick Ricks, the General Secretary of ASLEF, the Train Drivers Union, has said that drivers should be given more time off work in order to recover from the effects of taking drugs. What fresh lunacy is this? With me in the studio is union spokesman Melvin Hayes. Is that the Melvin Hayes?
No. It's been the source of much confusion and embarrassment for many years.
Well, my sympathies. I have an aunt called Windsor Davis. Anyway, Mr. Hayes, smack breaks, cannabis leaves on the line, Thomas the Skunk Engine. What's going on?
There's nothing to get hysterical about, Richard. Drugs are a part of everyday life. We have to acknowledge that and legislate accordingly.
Mr. Hayes, in case you hadn't noticed, taking drugs is illegal. Would you like train drivers to have longer breaks so they can do other illegal things too? Perhaps a murder break so they can kill a few people and then relax?
Richard, our drivers do not kill people in their breaks.
Oh, no, I forgot. That's what they do in the actual shifts, isn't it? Drugged up to the eyeballs, careering past signals.
Richard, we all know there have been accidents in the past, but hopefully a sensible system of brakes will see a safer future.
Well, a sensible system of brakes would be useful, I can see that. Ones that stop trains at red lights would be a good idea. Drug brakes are only the tip of a dangerous iceberg. It's called the collapse of civilization as we know it. And what other sort of brakes are you trades unionists planning?
Well, actually, Richard, since you asked, we'd like to give our members a break from being overworked, from being underpaid, and from being controlled by a bunch of thieving, money-hungry, fat-cap bloodsuckers.
What a strange collection of idealistic fantasists you are. Are you on drugs, Mr. Hayes?
Call me Gloria.
In the wake of the Shipman case, every daily paper and news programme has drafted in a pop psychologist.
But what makes these pop psychologists tick? With me is pop psychologist Dave Lee Trellis. Dave Lee, what goes through the minds of these people?
Well, Lolly, the pop psychologist feels the need to be in control, to explain the inexplicable. He was probably ignored as a child because he was boring and probably smelt slightly of biscuits. Although his behavior may seem odd and unacceptable to the vast majority of people, to the pop psychologist himself, it appears perfectly normal.
Thanks, Dave Lee. Joining me now to offer his opinion on why Dave Lee said those things is pop psychologist, Kid Benson.
Hi. Well, Lolly, Dave feels a need to be in control, to explain the inexplicable. He was probably ignored as a child because he was boring and smelt slightly of biscuits.
Well, that's true, I did.
Yeah.
On the line now to analyse Kid Benson's analysis of Dave Lee Trellis's analysis of the analysis of pop psychologists is pop psychologist, whispering Bob Freud.
Ah, the master.
Bob, analyse Kid for me.
It's still the biscuit thing.
Ah, uncanny genius.
Thanks, Bob. 13 million of us use them, another 2 million will start by the end of the year, and this week the London Evening Standard and the Daily Express both got new ones. What are they? Astrologers.
They used to be consulted only by the feeble-minded and Nancy Reagan, but these days even royalty are queuing up to have their charts done. I remain sceptical. But then I am a Scorpio. From Helsinki, where astrologers outnumber people by nearly 2 to 1, here's Matt Black.
They used to be consulted only by the feeble-minded and Nancy Reagan, but these days even royalty are queuing up to have their charts done. I remain sceptical, but then I am a Scorpio. And here in Finland, astrologers outnumber people by nearly 2 to 1. This is Matt Black for The Way It Is, Helsinki.
Thanks, Matt. Listening to that report, and on the line now is Paulie Heikkilä, who advises the Finnish government on horoscopes. Paulie, how do you account for the number of astrologers in Finland?
It's very cold in Finland.
Yes.
But much of the population spend their weekends in frozen forests carving ice statues and mercilessly beating each other's naked bodies with bits of fossilized woolly mammoth.
Yes, but what about the extraordinary number of astrologers where Finland is leading the world in this form of soothsaying?
It's very cold in Finland.
Yes, well, we've had enough of that. Paulie Heikkilä there from Finland. No surprise they invented Father Christmas.
And now, a week in Westminster.
It's not very good. Pass it on.
Oi, Joe Poland is made of wood. Pass it on.
Oi, James Bolam is baking a pud. What kind? I don't know, I'll ask. What kind?
The whispering campaign against Mo Molam there earlier this week. Caught in the mincing machine of their own abattoirs. Yes, that's farmers, the only profession in Britain more miserable than nurses. And what does the government offer them? Nothing. Tony of Assisi won't even give them money. Here to defend this ludicrous position is a spokesman, Cameron Plunge. Everything rosy in the fields then, Plunge?
Farmers do not need subsidies, Richard.
Oh, come off it, Plunge. There are no jobs. Sheep are selling for 27 pence each and beef is still banned across Europe. Blair's statement is about as welcome as a case of foot and mouth.
Do you need your ears syringing, Richard? I said farmers do not need subsidies.
So you're just going to let them die in poverty, are you?
Farming is a booming industry, Richard. There are more listeners to the Archers than ever before. And the incidence of mad people in Cornwall is at an all-time high. Farming has a very bright future.
If you're a BSE prion, perhaps.
But only if the industry embraces change. Farmers must embrace the huge opportunities of the internet.
The internet? What's Tony's big idea now? Virtual turnips? Come on, Plunge, I've got numbers here. 22,000 jobs lost in farming last year alone. Income's down 16%. You refuse to hand out the subsidies that will put British farmers on an equal footing with their European competitors. The fact is, you've been in power for nearly 3 years and the crisis in British farming has just got worse.
Well, it is funny you should mention the dome.
I did not mention the dome.
You did, isn't it great? The whole thing is just one big fab zone. And what about those fireworks, eh?
Goodbye, Plunge. Try not to get threshed.
Greg Dyke has been enjoying his first week as the BBC's new Director General.
And what a very handsome man he is.
Richard.
Well, I think he is handsome. I don't care who knows it. Anyway, we should celebrate this wonderful occasion, and what better way to celebrate than with a haiku penned by yours truly.
Oh dear, make it quick.
Will be precisely the same length as a haiku always is, Lolly. A dog barks, frogs croak. Then John Burt goes Greg Dyke. Arrives a bird sings.
A bird sings. Who's that then? Cilla Black? Noel Gallagher has unveiled a revised band lineup for the eagerly awaited new Oasis album.
If you have an MP3 recorder, you can download it direct from the web at www.BeatlesRipoff/ManchesterThug@moneyforoldrope.com. More upset concerning the Irish peace agreement this week. With the details, here's our Northern Ireland correspondent, Seamus Pook Hunk. I hope that's how it's pronounced. Seamus, what can you tell us?
Well, Richard, crisis here at Stormont as the First Minister, David Trimble, is trying to avert the suspension of the assembly. Excuse me, Richard.
Incredible news there, Seamus.
What do you mean you weren't even listening?
Oh, of course I was listening.
All right, what did I say then?
Crisis, Stormont, Trimble, Assembly, suspension, that sort of thing?
All right then, good. You let me carry on now. With the future of this fledgling government really hanging in the balance, all eyes, and you're doing it again, for God's sake! What are you doing?
Fascinating, Seamus. Where now for the Ulster Unionists?
You have absolutely no idea what I just said, have you? This is very important news, and I won't have you undermining its validity because you there in your London, you're doing it again. Will you please shut up? Will you listen to me, please?
You'll be sure we'll bring you more on that just as soon as we can be asked. So you change out of that fine. Shocking news this week after a samurai sword attack on a Liberal Democrat MP. With me now to discuss the subject of MP safety is the Liberal Democrat spokesman on just about everything, Ashley Splint. Mr. Splint, can we have your opinion on this, please?
It's fantastic.
What?
Well, I've never been asked for my opinion before. I mean, I'm a Liberal Democrat spokesman. No one cares what I have to say. I'll tell you, I'll let you into a secret. This is actually my very first interview.
You've never been in a radio studio before?
No, and it is fun, isn't it? So, where do you want me then? Got all these buttons and things. It's absolutely mental in
yes,
here,
if we
isn't
could
it?
get back to the point, Mr. Splint.
What's this furry thing for? Hello?
Yes,
hello.
leave that. It's the microphone. Now, Mr. Splint, about the issue of protecting MPs, what do you propose?
Oh, I don't know. God, look, this chair spins round and all. Way!
Will you behave? Please answer the question.
Okay, all right. We'll probably have a meeting.
You don't need to get that close. It's a microphone.
Sorry. Oh, and hang on. Did I mention we want to legalise cannabis?
No.
And hang on. Let's see what.
Have you got a list?
Yes. I did mention I was going to be on, and a couple of the guys asked me to mention a few things. So we're quite pro-Europe still, I think. Oh, and one of the Kennedys is our leader. And can I say a big hello to Alan, Lembit, Paddy and Susan at the Strangers Bar quiz team. We call ourselves the Yellow Barrel.
Mr. Splint, thank you.
No, thank you. It was great fun. Actually, can I stay and watch the rest of the show?
No.
Please. I'll be really, really quiet.
Oh, very well. Sit over there and don't touch anything.
In the week when Jeremy Paxman lashed out at the Scottish opt-out section of Newsnight, there's been controversy in our very own The Way It Is studio. Certain members of high-profile staff, who shall remain nameless...
It's me.
...who shall remain nameless, have poured scorn on our own Scottish regional opt-out.
Well, honestly, it's drivel. What's wrong with this programme? Don't answer that.
So, to give the rest of the country a chance to see what all the fuss is about, we go over now to our Edinburgh studios.
Hello, I'm Hamish.
And I'm Morag McShane.
And you're listening to The Way It Is.
Headlines tonight.
Swearing man drinks from can.
Cold weather, heavy heather.
The English are bastards. The English are...
Hamish.
Oh, McJingle.
See? What a pointless exercise. Morag McShane, she obviously wants to be the new Kirsty McWalk or even the new Lolly Swain.
Talentless provincials.
Yes, hold that thought, Lolly.
The European community has threatened to suspend relations with Austria if it allows any Nazis into positions of power.
Good to see them making a moral stand there. 60 years too late, but then that's Brussels red tape for you. Sports news now.
Hi, sorry, me again.
Mr.
quite
Splint,
excited.
are you still here?
Can I quickly play a record?
No!
Please, go on. I've brought one in specially. It is the Goombay Dance Band.
Oh, I love them, Richard. Go on.
No, I'm sorry, I like them too, but this is a serious news-based programme. Now, back to the story. David Beckham may move to Arsenal in a spectacular £40 million move.
Why would he want to move from Manchester United to Arsenal, Richard?
Perhaps it's easier to spell.
A new feature now on the way it is as we drop in on local newspaper to get a slice of real life in Local Call.
This week on this ham-fisted and frankly patronising attempt to appear interested in the lives of the little people, Hilliard Jensen has been out and about with the pool scrimmager.
Hello, Richard. Never fear, Hilliard's here.
How very reassuring. Miss Jensen, pray guide us through the inconsequentialities of sub-Bournemouth life this week.
Well, like London, Poole has this week been agog with excitement over the search for a new mayor. But this new mayor will have to be made of sterner stuff than any London mayor, Richard.
Miss Jensen, to what sham of a nonsense of a farce are you referring?
I'm referring, Richard, rather cleverly actually, to a new clockwork mayor to feature in the new clock tower display.
I curse my dull wits for not having guessed.
As you probably know, Richard, Poole is famous for its clockwork tableau, in which a witch tied to a stool is given a resounding ducking on the hour every hour, and 20 head of Negro slave are hammered down at auction at midday and evensong. But that old ritual has become the latest victim of so-called political correctness. Instead, a new one is being designed in which a small aluminium mare goes past in an open-top carriage waving.
I see. Is there a favourite mayor?
Many of the local people would like to see William Longpiss, but officials fear that such a choice would make Poole the object of derision in nearby cosmopolitan centres such as Bournemouth.
Heaven forfend.
Wait, there's more.
Then I suggest you use it to line a budgie cage.
And Daddy says hello, by the way.
Daddy? Who's Daddy?
Cleveland Grey.
Cleveland Grey is your father? Then why aren't you...
Hilliard Grey. There was a messy divorce. I was 17. I took my pony's name. It seemed fairest.
I see. Well, your father is a great journalist and one of the finest men I've ever known. He actually saved my life in Manila in '72. Knocked a reheated chicken sandwich clean out of my hand. Anyway, a bit busy now, Hilliard, but we must have a chat, and well done. Excellent piece. I shouldn't wonder Hilliard will be snapping at our heels soon, eh, Lolly?
Yes. The Royal Bank of Scotland has bumped up its offer in the hostile takeover attempt of NatWest.
On the line now is Sir Bernard Pump from the NatWest HQ. Sir Bernard, you've been keeping very quiet about this. Can we have a statement?
Copy statements are available to all our customers at £3 each.
Sir Bernard Pump there, a banker.
Good news! Alton Towers are to be put in charge of the Millennium Dome, providing visitors with the sort of entertainment we've come to expect from the theme park.
Presumably they're going to take the roof off so that everyone queues in the rain, charge £8 for a can of Coke and make sure you all leave with a crushing sense of disappointment. Mind you, that one's already in place, isn't it? On the line is Alan Dillyboy from Alton Towers.
Where the magic never ends.
Shut up. The only magic I've ever seen at Alton Towers is where you make everyone's will to live mysteriously disappear.
Come, Richard. When did you last visit Alton Towers? Where the magic
1982. It was a Tuesday, and it was rubbish.
Ah, well, there was only the corkscrew then, Richard. Now there's the runaway train. Ah, Oblivion. Ooh, the black hole. Whee.
Runaway train, Oblivion, black hole, all fair descriptions of the dome, I grant you. But why are you lot revamping it, for goodness sake?
If we build it, they will come.
To what? Your second-rate Disney World? What's happened to all that guff about spirituality zones and body harmony zones? Now it'll be stuffing your face full of toffee apple zones, a quick go on the pirate ship and being sick in a litter bin.
Yeah, or losing your glasses in the log flume in 1982.
How did you know that?
Uh-huh.
Look, they cost £70 and the man refused to look for them. He said it was my fault.
It was. Apparently you threw them at a swan.
I don't like swans.
Yeah, well, I don't like you.
Yes, well, give me my £70 back.
No, you killed a swan.
I injured a swan. Charges were dropped.
Is this true, Richard? Did you kill a swan?
No. Yes. Look, this is ridiculous. I was alarmed by a swan, and the only thing I had to throw at the charging beast were my glasses. Can we please get back to the story? The upshot is, Dillyboy, you're changing the dome into an end-of-pier show when all along it was supposed to represent humanity.
Oh, it will, Richard, because it'll be wasteful, vulgar, and probably quite dangerous.
Fair point. The Shipman verdict. Inspector Doppler, you must be very pleased with the result.
Oh, yeah, a dangerous criminal now safely behind bars thanks to some excellent detective work, perseverance, and above all, sheer hard work.
Indeed, and you will be thanking one of the relatives of the deceased.
Pardon?
The daughter of one of the victims whose suspicions concerning Dr. Shipman led to his apprehension.
Well, yes.
And whose evidence actually brought him to trial, and indeed led to his conviction.
Yeah, but I think you'll find it was actually the police that did, in fact, put the cuffs on him.
Yes, well done.
Yeah, and it was one of our cars he was taken away in.
Whoopee-doo.
Yeah, and it was one of our cells he was locked up in. Yeah.
Good work. Carry on, Inspector.
Yeah, thank you.
We all love flicking through the innovations catalogue, don't we?
Oh, I should say so. Barely a day goes by when I don't long for a stainless steel fish descaler that also doubles as a long-wave radio and can be engraved with up to 3 initials.
So, with this in mind, we on The Way It Is are introducing a product of the week, a useful gadget that will be offered to you, our listeners, at a rock-bottom price.
Here's the first.
You've all been there. It's breakfast time and you want a nice soft-boiled egg. But you can't get the timing right. Too hard and you can't dip your soldiers in. Too soft and you get salmonella and die.
Well, now it's time to wave goodbye to breakfast misery with the Mike Tyson egg timer.
Yes, the Mike Tyson egg timer gives you perfect results every time. Simply start cooking your egg and then pop the supplied videotape into your VCR.
Sit back and watch as Iron Mike takes on a plucky British opponent. As soon as the fight is over, hey presto, the perfect soft-boiled egg.
And now it's time to enjoy your egg with some toast. Just the 2 rounds, though.
And remember, the Mike Tyson egg timer also doubles as a long-wave radio and can be engraved with up to 3 initials.
And that wonderful gadget is available for £19.99 from the Way It Is credit card hotline.
Calls are charged for £40 a minute cheap rate and £280 a minute all other times. Calls may be recorded for a laugh. Your statutory rights are non-existent. This week, the sequel to Toy Story 2 has been released to general acclaim. Going against the grain, like the suicidal weevil that she is our regular feminist, Julie Bristol.
Toy Story? Toy Story, more like. This film is little more than right-wing misogynist propaganda. Once again, the heroes are a cowboy and a spaceman. Men in a womanless universe. They wish. And what are their names? Woody and Buzz? Woody and Buzz? How much more phallocentric can it be? The actual erect male member penis, Woody, or its man-made vibrating battery-operated substitute, Buzz? Woody and Buzz are blatant totems of phallic oppression, as I proved in my book, Manimation more like. All Disney cartoons are the same. Snow White is taller than any of the dwarves, but she still has to do all the cleaning. Prince Charming, Prince Harming more like. The Little Mermaid, fact, mermaids are lesbian. And now Toy Story, Disney, Disney more like. Leave cartoon women alone. I'm Judy Bristol.
There's been a by-election in Wales today.
No, don't care. Move on.
Time now for the big day. Another of our special features looking forward
to Lolly's wedding. Yes, no, don't worry, Lolly. I'm not going to attack these lifestyle features as the pretty thin alternative to news that they are. In fact, the more I immerse myself in human interest journalism, the more I find in it to enjoy.
Really?
Yes. Your own story, for instance, has touched my heart. How you've not seen your father now for over 15 years.
Oh, that's true.
Separated by the insurmountable distance of the Irish Sea.
It's further than you think.
And how, though you would love him to be here for your wedding, it just isn't possible finding him a place to stay, what with your small flat and him not being such a good traveller and so on and so
Well,
forth.
thank you for being so understanding, Richard. It isn't easy, but we all have our crosses to bear. Now, I was talking to Hello Magazine this
One
morning.
moment, Lolly. I haven't quite finished. In fact, I'm about to know the sort of giddy thrill that only Cilla Black and Noel Edmonds have previously experienced. The sort that comes from bringing together loved ones long separated against their will. Lolly, it's been 15 years, but he's here tonight and he's staying for the wedding, all the way from Capers, County Cork. It's your father, Michael O'Swainey.
Lariana, is it really you?
Oh, Rihanna. So, Lolly is a nom de microphone, is it?
Richard, you bastard!
Sure you're looking grand. Is it the English you're speaking now?
Father, you can't come in here. I'm working. Richard, how could you?
Well, there's gratitude. Still, I expect it's the shock.
It's a good man, this Richard. He's putting us up and everything.
I invited Michael to stay for the wedding. The wedding about which he was delighted to hear for the first time, I must say.
Sure, Father, I was going to let you know. Of course I was.
Don't you worry about it, Lariana, love. So who's the lucky fella?
A 43-year-old chancer called David...
David Welp, Father. He's an offshore property.
Oh, not remotely dodgy. Anyway, I expect you two have plenty to talk about. I'll handle the next bit. Loriana, you two have a chat.
Thanks, Richard.
You wait till I speak to your mother.
The Millennium Wheel is finally taking passengers. Lloyd Fisher is there. Lloyd, how are you?
Wary.
The ride?
Scary.
Safety?
Hairy.
Nice at the top?
Hairy.
Many tourists?
Dairy.
Do they like it?
Very.
Media reaction?
Contrary.
Famous people?
Mariah Carey.
Milk products?
Dairy.
Portillo?
Very.
Thanks, Lloyd.
Righto.
And now, today's reflections with the Very Reverend Jez Wright.
Hi. This morning, I had sex with a horse. I'm talking, of course, about the Chinese horoscope sign. My Vietnamese wife is a horse, and she displays all the characteristics of that animal. Steadfastness, strength, integrity, and the ability to sleep standing up. You see, tomorrow is the start of the Year of the Dragon, the most significant year in the Chinese calendar. And all over the world there will be colourful processions to celebrate the event. I myself intend to go along to the one in the Chinese quarter of Chiswick, or as it's otherwise known, Mr. Chung's. As usual, Mr. Chung will dress up as a lion and frighten Mrs. Chung, who is mentally ill. Now, whilst that's always great fun, as a Christian, of course, I believe that Chinese horoscopes and all astrology are inherently evil and should be destroyed. So go on, come to church and follow our one and only star sign. It leads to a lowly stable and thus brings us full circle back to horses. I don't just throw this together, you know.
I'm Richard.
And I'm Lolly Swain.
And that's the way it is.